gotten a lot better at drawing filled in circles on whiteboards in the last couple weeks.
It's a good skill to have.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody.
Hey there.
Hey, happy Monday.
Yep.
That's it's Monday, right? It's Monday.
Well,
We're back.
yeah.
We're back. It's Monday. I'm Graham.
I'm Grashkahmn.
We're broadcasting in our bathrobes for the
Live.
Dolphin day in a row.
Yep. From our bathroom.
What?
This is that's right. That's how nice our house is. This is what our bathroom looks like. But you feel a little bad for yourself now, huh? Huh?
Is that how you've been using this room? All right, so we have another exciting guest for you today. We've been calling around to our float tank buddies, bathrobe buddies we've been calling them, and just chatting about how things are going with all the float center closures and just kind of being home more often and everything. They're just people have really been bearing it all.
Yeah.
We've been asking the tough, hard-hitting questions.
How are you?
Yep. For
How's it
example,
going?
what was your name again?
Yeah.
And people have really been bringing it. So hopefully today's guest is no exception.
I think he will not be an exception. I think he's gonna bring it. He's ready. He's cooking up that sauce right now, I think.
And who are we calling?
We're calling Greg Griffin, people. That's right. Strap yourselves in.
It's gonna be a wild ride.
Yeah.
Or click your Lego figurines into that
Yeah.
starfighter and be prepared to blast off.
Ready?
Yeah,
Maybe you should full screen it this time. You guys.
Thought you meant me. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do it.
Alright, I'm gonna call.
Yeah, do it. Call
Oh,
him.
yeah, okay. It's a good start.
Hello.
Hey Greg, it's Graham and Ashkan.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Excellent. How are you doing over there?
I am doing well. It's raining out right now, and so I can't garden, so I might build a Lego today.
Okay. Nature's gardening for you, really.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. I know I have to sprinkle water onto the garden. It's wonderful.
Which is good. And nature does not build Legos by itself. So really, you're doing the appropriate work right now.
I think so.
So would you say that's been your two main kind of stress reliefs during this period, gardening and Legoing, or have you been getting up to any more mischief?
It's probably three things, and so Lego, yeah, that's been really fun. Gardening, which I haven't done in about 4 years, so that's been super fun.
Nice.
And then making food again at home, which I used to do a lot, and then I got into a habit of eating out constantly because I'm at the float center. And now pretty much all my meals have been made at home from scratch, which has been really fun.
Nice. And we forgot to introduce our guest again, other than their name.
We're really bad about that.
We're really terrible at that.
This is Greg Griffin, everybody, from Float Madison.
Yeah.
Out there in Madison.
And how long have you been open out there now?
We've been open for, this month is actually our anniversary month.
Really?
So 4 years.
Okay,
And
cool.
I forgot about that until, it was like 2 days ago, I mentioned it to my girlfriend. I was like, oh shoot, I never did anything for anniversary month where, usually we do like a membership drive like last year, which worked really well. Of course, I probably wouldn't do that this year, but at least I mentioned it like, hey guys, thanks for, sticking with us and supporting us over the years, and it's our anniversary, but yeah, haven't said a thing.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a strange time to be trying to celebrate our small victories,
Oh yeah, and as far as timing for a pandemic, I feel bad, of course, for anyone who's in a really tough spot right now, especially those I've seen people that are just opening or opening soon, and and being open for a few years, it's still loans to pay off, but just being established has been a huge help. With members, as I'm sure you two have experienced, just keeping you supported while you're not able to run floats. It's been good on timing for me personally.
Yeah, do you have a lot of members who are just staying on board and still paying their regular full membership rate?
Yeah, I think most are. I guess probably a lot like the first month, I only maybe 8 of them canceled or paused it, and then now this last couple of weeks, so it's probably about maybe 8 more. So I think about 18 have dropped off, but we also picked up about 5 in this time as well.
Picked up 5.
That's cool.
How'd you do that?
I don't know. Well, 4 on people that were once numbers, and then one other was someone who floats once in a while, but he just wanted to become a member to help us through this time. So,
That's
and
cool.
I sent out a couple emails using the buy one, give one campaign that you could put
Nice.
together, but then also.
Yeah, we didn't authorize that you could use that, Greg. All right. That's it. Expect a letter from our lawyers in the mail.
I don't check the mail.
Damn, the one flaw in our plan.
But yeah, it's been good in that regard. And I went the route of offering all of our members an extra float each month we're closed.
Nice.
And I didn't realize I did that. I knew I did that for the first month, and then the other day I was going to send another email out saying, hey, so for the next month, for those who stick on, we're going to donate a second float to our to the medical workers campaign fund. But I looked at my first email and realized that I said we'll do it every month. We'll give them an extra float. So with my email, it's saying, hey, if you want to donate any floats to this fund, you're more than welcome to, but they can keep it if they want.
Cool.
Extra float.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's great. You actually added on a few members during this. That's cool that people just believe enough in like getting into Float once this is all over that they were willing to subscribe and kind of stockpile some.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm sure you and anyone who's been open for a while has experienced a lot of people just messaging us. I'd say at least every day there's just one message or more from people saying, thanks for the great emails and keeping us posted, and just hope you're doing well. So just checking in with members or even people that I haven't spoken to in months or a couple of years that have floated a couple of times, just checking in on us. It's been really, really nice.
Yeah. What is your membership structure?
So I'm at one float a month is what I do.
Okay.
The single float add-on for a little bit more of a discount.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how much it's different for people who have like more intense memberships. Like if you had a membership structure that's like 8 floats a month and somebody's on it, it's kind of like it's a lot more intense to think about that person maintaining their membership through this, or kind of the implications.
Or
of that.
unlimited,
Or unlimited, yeah.
right? That's kind of a
Yeah,
weird
I'm not
one.
sure. And that's what I had at first for a while. I had the 1, 2, and 4 foot a month membership for the first year, but the first month I was open, like right away I wanted to change it, which just didn't, want to put the time into doing that. So probably a year later I finally made that change and we changed it actually, and it was probably one of the greatest things I've ever done for my business.
Nice.
Just so much easier for everybody.
Yeah, that's cool.
And yeah, I think if I had a tiered membership still, I'd probably just call people that have the 4 or more months and say, hey, just try to figure something out. Like, we'll give you an extra float if you stick on, but not 4 extra floats or something like that. Or, offer them to go down to 1 a month as well, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I appreciate you answering even hypothetical questions about how you're doing.
Well, I know people that, are out there that still have, they use the tiered membership, they enjoy it or for whatever reason. Maybe they're like me and just want to go to 1 a month, but just, it's a little bit of work just to get people aware of what you're doing and get that info out there through all channels.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we made that switch, and we had like 100 members on our various like tiered programs when we did that switch. So it took a lot of planning, and there's all sorts of like weird little like logic that pops out of trying to like change fundamental aspects of systems like that. So yeah, it wasn't a small task to kind of make that transition.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky. I got to watch you guys and a few other folks that are do that. So I'm like, okay, go back to my email. I think I maybe had 3 email subscriptions from different float centers that have me that switched. So I'm like, oh, let's see how they've done it. And kind of
Nice.
took that as inspiration. And I'm curious, do you still have people on your tiered membership that float on that's like wanting to keep that to get that little extra discount?
Well, what we did was we grandfathered people in. Like, we basically converted everybody's rate over to what their rate for their, like, one float would be. So no one was, like, losing money because of this.
Gotcha.
So there's very little motivation to stay on our other thing. Although there were, like, a couple, like, really weird edge cases. I think there's, like, one, maybe two people who, like, it just like made more sense for them for some reason. I can't even remember exactly why to stay on that other thing, and that's about it. For the rest of it, it was just like we just made the price not be a hindrance to anybody in the switch.
Mm-hmm.
And the nice thing is that those people who were grandfathered in on those prices like have all been very diligent about keeping their memberships because they have this like especially good deal as a result of this switch that we did that makes it kind of harder to want to actually like drop your membership off. So we still have a lot of people, even though we did this like 2-3 years ago, something like that, 3 years ago. We still have a lot of people like from that switch on grandfathered plans who still have active memberships.
Good. If I was on the other side of things, just a floater, not a float center owner, I had all these floats racked up. When this is all done and we could start floating again, I would totally make the time to just start getting in there as much as possible. Like, if I can float every other day to use some of these up, heck yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there are people who just like, I don't know, maybe this is an interesting time for them to realize how much floating actually was a big part of their lives. And
Sure.
yeah,
I mean, there's definitely going to be like a lot of stressed,
you know,
a lot of stressed out people, yeah, for sure.
I'm excited for those first floats and 2 months for these people and they come back in. I'm excited for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I always feel like I just personally know how good that feels. Like when I've been out traveling or gone for a month and not been able to hop in a float tank. Yeah, getting back in is so nice.
How often is you two been floating?
Not really like much at all during this closure. We've been kind of keeping our float tank center largely restricted. Like we stopped our staff from floating there, actually, just kind of in the spirit of trying to encourage people to stay home and stuff like that.
Sure.
So yeah, like in the last.
And for the people, I mean, there are like 1 or 2 people who are going in to do maintenance on a daily basis. So we also didn't want to they kind of have to go in, and we didn't want to make that a riskier proposition for them by allowing staff and just stuff like that to go and float.
Yeah. So yeah, during this whole like shut-in period, I think I've only gone in to float a couple times. I actually just scheduled myself. I mean, not that I have to because the entire thing's down, but in my own calendar, I scheduled a long float for tonight.
Every once in a while, we go in and do maintenance.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we sneak in a float while we're there. So it's kind of like
So
if you want to go do the maintenance
not,
for the day, you get to float.
Are you like not floating because you don't want your rest of your staff to go, oh man, well they get to float, like why can't I float too?
There's definitely part of that. I mean, we had a whole conversation about it when we were shutting down. We shut down before like the full shelter-in-place orders came up. So at first we were like, okay, like let's figure out a system for staff to come float so that you guys don't like run into each other, and maybe we like rotate through the float tanks so people aren't getting in without like at least a however many hour gap or stuff like that. And then kind of like 4 or 5 days later, they gave the order to just like have everyone stay home, and I don't know, it just kind of like, I don't feel like extremely passionately about it, you know what I mean? I could easily see having gone the other way with this decision, and we've even like chatted about changing it, but it just kind of felt like another way we could prevent, interactions and unnecessary risk and contacts and stuff like that, and then yeah, I did feel a little bit bad being like, you guys can't come in, but I'm gonna go float.
But all the owners can. All the owners can still
we,
go in
for
there,
some
right?
reason, can't communicate this disease.
Yeah.
I'll admit I have not. I've gone into my float center at least every other day just to run filters on my one float tank that isn't automatic. And it's a water plant. I have a lot there. But I have not floated in about a month. And I don't have staff. I can float whatever I want. I don't know why I haven't. I have a bunch of free time. I've been using it wisely, but I need to get in there soon. I'm gonna, it's gonna be one of those floats where I get in and right away I say, why did I wait so long? I get out and go, why did I wait so long? yeah, that'll happen soon.
For sure. There's been, I mean, some people in the collective have been talking about like float guilt, which I think is kind of real. You know, it's like we have to tell our members that like they can't come in. You know, forget the staff side of things. It's like there's all these people who depend on floating for well-being and sanity, and we have to say no. You can't come into the center, but I alone get to float, you know, and yeah, you know, as I'm sure you saw in the collective, there's that like sentiment of like there is some guilt maybe associated with that.
That's I'm glad you said it, because I will probably do it secretly. If it is a conversation, I probably would have posted a picture like afterwards, like, I wish you all could float as well, like I just did. At the same time, you know, I would think that a lot of our guests and members would kind of expect me to be floating during this time, so I don't know, maybe they'd be kind of happy about it, like, good, I'm glad you get to float during this. I don't know.
I feel, yeah, it makes sense. I can't imagine somebody too upset about
I just
it.
want to mention quick, like, I would love to see in the comments here, like, what other people, you know, are doing during this time as far as, like, hobbies, you know, if you have a garden, like, I would love to see some pictures. If no one knew what we were talking about at the beginning as far as building Lego goes, I'll quickly mention, I was into Lego as a kid, like a lot of us were, and then maybe about 8 years ago, I bought like 5 or 6 sets and just put them on display at my house, and never thought I'd be into like collecting them or building, you know, custom stuff, which I don't like just buy, like have bins of Lego like we all did as kids, like build custom things. I just buy the kits, build them, and they look cool. But then last year I just started getting obsessed with collecting like all these big Lego Star Wars sets, and they're super fun, they look cool. So I've been going down that rabbit hole for a while. I'd love to see who else builds Lego, and you know, we could put pictures and comments as well.
Yeah, at this point I'm pretty convinced like 90% of all humans have been secretly really into Legos for the last like 5 years, and I just didn't know about it. And you can tell when they find, like, we'll go to someone's house and they'll have this like Lego thing, and someone I'm with will be like, oh yeah, the Star Wars Millennium Falcon, huh? It's a nice one. And then they'll just go off on Legos. I'm like, what's happening here? Maybe we should do that.
I found a couple other people. I found, I won't name their name, but I found one person. They're the kind of person which I see people do it. If I had extra money, I'd do it too. But they'll like buy sets that they know are going to be worth money in the future, or that, you know, they think they're going to be worth money in the future. So they'll buy these sets, stash them away, and then resell them, you know, 5, 10, 15 years later for like 2, 3, 4 times the price they paid.
All I'm picturing is a giant vault made out of Legos that put these like boxes into. Wow, that's amazing. I mean, like, it makes, some of these sets are like $500. That's crazy.
Some are, yeah.
What's the most pieces in one of the Star Wars Lego sets you've put together?
So the biggest one is the one you mentioned, the Millennium Falcon, the newer one.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
Wow, I didn't realize you were on your game there.
I got some Legos in my room. I haven't really been telling anybody, but
Yeah, I think it's about 7,000 pieces.
7,000 pieces. I get, we accidentally got into jigsaw puzzles here like a month back, and like I get how it's like oddly enough before all of this started. Like, not like, hey, we're trapped in the house, you know, what should we do? We just, like, a month before this, we had some people over, and I had this like little jigsaw puzzle, and we played it, and it took like 10 minutes to put together, and it was really unsatisfying, and I was like, I haven't done a jigsaw puzzle in a long time.
Did you say play a jigsaw puzzle? Is that how you were going? Just like put it together or something?
No, I'm sweating.
You
like,
okay, alright, yeah, fair enough. If you sweat, it's played, yeah.
But then I got a 2,000 piece one, and like it is like oddly satisfying to slowly form something out of nothing.
Yeah,
you know?
I guess there's that aspect of it. If I wasn't into Lego, then yeah, I'd probably do a jigsaw puzzle. My girlfriend, she brought it up when we first, you know, when Ray had to stay for at home order, we have to, you know, be off work. She's like, I wish you had some puzzles from upstairs and build them. And I'm like, yeah, but I have like 30 Lego sets that I need to build, and it's way more fun and satisfying. And we kind of forgot about it. I hope she can't hear me right now, because she's like, oh yeah, let's do a puzzle.
It's up in the attic grabbing them.
That's funny.
It might be fun. We might do it small, but I don't want to do something too complex. And they're stressful. Lego's not stressful.
They're just flat Legos. I mean, that's all it
I was
is.
thinking they're kind of like the inverse of Legos, though. Like puzzles are like 2 dimensions, and they're unique pieces that only fit together in one way. And Legos are like 3-dimensional universal pieces that fit together however you want to put them.
Okay, so they're either exactly the same or the exact opposites. Is
Yeah.
what we determined.
My in-depth research just now. That's the only possible conclusion. We do have some comments out here, not in response to anything you said, Greg, unfortunately. But yeah, we have one fan here says that they love Greg Griffin.
Oh.
So that's
Nice.
exciting. Yeah.
I'm watching you guys on the computer, but I have a comment section closed, so I haven't seen it.
Nice.
Nice.
Keep it suspenseful.
Yeah, no, that's good. And also, they're curious if you're growing your hair out, Ashkan.
I'm growing my hair.
Yeah. Question for the host.
Well, I did. I was supposed to get a haircut the day before our float center shut down, and it got canceled. And yeah, I figured as long as I'm here, I might as well go for it. You know, see how far this bad boy can go.
Do you have a choice?
I didn't notice that, yeah.
I mean, I could shave it all off.
And I can see the comments now. Hey, Cam, how are you doing down there in Rockford? Hey, Ken. Hey, Tammy.
You should be hosting the show. You're much better at this than we are.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, you
that's
need to work
true.
comments. I can even see it. So it's commenting.
We did know to have the comments up,
Speaking of hair,
Ashkan. That's
my
true.
next haircut is, it keeps getting pushed back. I think it's June 17th right now.
It's good. Well, it's really easy on our side. We can just trim a little bit off the top of this kind of piece of paper that we have here and kind of make your hair as short as you'd like.
I guess I could do that, but yeah.
So I had a fun one that I've also been gardening actually, which has been great, and we've both been cooking a lot more, which has also been excellent. I made horchata for the first time ever recently.
Ooh.
Yeah. And
I think I've had that once before. It was actually with you two down in Chicago.
wow. Yeah. Well, now I know how to make it from scratch. So next time we get together.
So we're 100% of your horchata experience, this conversation and the time that you tried it.
That's funny. I'm pretty sure that's the only time I've ever had it.
Nice. You should never drink horchata with anyone else. We should make this 100% kind of like a
The horchata pact.
Yeah, like a rice cinnamon pact that we got going on right now.
It's actually surprisingly easy, it turned out.
Yeah.
I had never. There's some foods that just seem mysterious, you know.
Here, so I put together a little instruction here. Let's get out the blender.
Yeah, you just blend rice and some cinnamon and
Just
milk,
throw in mostly whatever, yeah.
whatever you want.
Yeah, no,
Is horchata booze? Is there booze in it? There's booze in it, right?
there is not
Yeah.
traditionally, but you could
control yourself.
you could make it with booze pretty easily. I think that all you need to add is one ingredient, in fact.
Gotcha.
Probably rum.
I want to say in Chicago at that Mexican place. I want to say there was booze. Maybe it was an option. I don't remember.
It does sound pretty good. I don't think I've ever had a boozy horchata,
No, me neither.
but it sounds like what's about to happen here.
Probably like a dark rum.
Yeah,
That's what I'd
I
add
could
in
also
there.
do
Tequila.
your drink completely.
Well, so what drinks have you been making?
Yeah.
What have I been making?
Yeah. We're asking the tough questions here, Greg.
Yeah, what have I been making? Nothing really. Right
You
now I'm
haven't been
drinking
drinking
cold brew, which I used to drink 6 to 7 days a week, and now we just buy cans of it, and it's maybe 1 to 2 days a week. Water.
Nice. It's a popular one.
Soda water every other day.
Specifically?
I'm not a big alcoholic drinker anymore like I used to be. So I have a beer maybe every 2 to 3 days, maybe even less. And it's really weird. I used to be really into micro brews and really good flavored beer, but for the last maybe 2 years, all I really like are Mexican lagers. So not really Corona, but Pacifico, and I'll drink Modelo. Pretty much just those two. Beer just doesn't agree with me anymore. It gets so sick so easily.
Except for Mexican lagers. Yeah. Cool. We got another comment here. We have a whole conversation going on now about your hair, Ashkan. This is a very hair related
Okay.
episode. Benny Bogard is there too, and he was supposed to get a haircut, but it got
Nice.
canceled the day before, and he's
That's-
kind of looking
yeah.
like the Wizard of Oz now,
Yeah.
which
We're
is
in this
excellent.
together. We will make it through this, guys.
I can picture Benny Bogard with some longer hair. That's that's attractive. Cool. Yeah. Anything else for the audience before we let you go, Greg?
Oh gosh, I mean, I guess, hey Jesse, hey Elliot, hey Jen, hey Rebecca. Have you guys had any Canadian floats that are just done yet? I haven't watched.
We had Matt.
I haven't watched in like a week.
Yeah, we had Matt on, Matt Smith from Modern Gravity.
Yeah, as our second guest.
Heard it.
Yeah. Us glancing over here is we put after we finish up these episodes, we put all of these faces onto a little den fridge that we have in here. So there's a little fridge of fame. We've been calling it in the order people appeared. So I was like, oh yeah, we got Matt Smith. He was second. Anyone else over here Canadian? Or yeah, I'll send along a photo after we finish. Audience, maybe you'll get to see the fridge of fame one of these days too. We'll post it up. Yeah, and then actually, funny you should mention that as a perfect lead-in. You really are a better host than we are, Greg. But we have Float Toronto, Jesse at least from Float Toronto, coming on Thursday, and hopefully we get Sean as well. So
Cool.
get another little Canadian interview.
Yeah, see what they've been
In just a
drinking.
few days. Yeah, maple
You
syrup.
guys are blessed. I'll try to tune in live.
Awesome. Well, Jesse tuned in to watch you live, so and he just said, "What's up?" So yeah, the stakes are pretty high right now. Awesome, Greg. Well, thanks so much for hopping on with us. This is really fun catching up.
Yeah, definitely. I have one more question too, and you can be quick
Before
with
you let us
answering
go.
it. But have you guys had any updates on float conference stuff at all on here, or is that like kind of separate?
I mean, the update is really just that, like, we had a board meeting and all of us were like, so we have no idea how to make any decisions right now because everything is so completely up in the air. And that's basically it. I mean, it just didn't seem like there was much we could determine until we had just like a better sense of things. I mean, certainly, like, it's not that we haven't like decided to cancel the event or anything, I guess is maybe the most concrete thing that can be said, and my sincere hope is just that things kind of shake out well enough that it can go on as normal. And other than that, I think we're just going to really try to play it by ear, and at some point we might just need to like ask people in the industry what they think is a good idea depending on the circumstances and figure it out.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, it's Milwaukee this year, so it's about an hour from my home. So I'm
Yeah.
excited and hope it happens.
Yeah, the venue's been really cool and flexible, as you can imagine. So like they're willing to like work with us to try to not have the event get canceled, and I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. But for now, it's kind of like mostly in a like wait and see sort of state.
Cool. Well, yeah. Hopefully we'll all get to hang out in just a few months here, and
Yeah, for sure.
excited.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Awesome, Greg. Well, thanks again for hopping on, and just keep posting up pictures of your Legos. Honestly, I find them inspiring. So.
Well, dude, it's been a while. I've probably built about 15 sets since my last picture.
Yeah, why don't you get on that? Share that with the world. You can't keep that kind of thing inside.
Awesome. Well, have a great day, guys. I'm going to try to catch up on the episodes I missed, and cheers.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Thanks, Greg.
cheers, Greg.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
All right, Greg Griffin.
The one and only.
That's right.
Probably.
That we know, at
Yeah.
least. Yeah.
I think
He's
it's
the only
actually,
Greg Griffin
might
I
be
know.
Greg Griffin Jr.
Oh.
The one and only.
We got just like a general question here.
Okay, nice.
Look at
Yeah,
that.
let's
That's
hit
pretty
it.
exciting,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it. Let's answer it.
All right. This
Yeah.
says my ozonator shorted out and need to work it out with wave float room. My question: what can I use instead of ozone in the meantime? Interesting.
Well, there's a few answers to that, and some of them are more extreme than others. So, the other device that you can use besides ozone, of course, is UV.
If your tank has it,
Yeah, I mean, if your tank has UV built in, like you have a mixed kind of ozonator / UV system, which some do, you might just still be able to use the same unit just without the ozone, which we do on one of our tanks.
Yeah, I mean it's a little like it depends a little bit on the UV unit.
Yeah.
Like hopefully the UV unit by itself is powerful enough to do the job, and the ozone was like an extra boost and helping with oxidation. So if that's the case, then just running your UV, and especially running it for longer, because like the longer you run it, the more the UV can like have time in contact with the liquid in your float tank and be doing stuff. And then you could put hydrogen peroxide in there to make up for some of the like oxidation abilities that the ozone has that UV doesn't.
Which is why you often see that kind of UV hydrogen peroxide combination, just so you can heat the organics with the hydrogen peroxide. Well, the UV does the like heavy lifting and disinfection. And
you can also hand dose ozone. If you go up into the atmosphere and grab some with your hands and then bring it down, you can kind of push it into the float tank. We've done that a couple times.
Yeah, you need sort of a big ozone-proof sheet that you can ride back down to grasp it. Yeah. But yeah, if you're not talking about devices or that kind of crazy hand dosing thing that we just covered, then you're probably looking at chlorine or bromine for adding it to the tank in the meantime, just to make sure you're actually disinfecting.
Nice. He's saying he does use UV.
Okay, great. That's right. I forgot that this is a conversation, you know. We can actually ask you questions on here, and then you can answer them in chat. This is great.
But yeah, I mean, if you find out your UV's not enough, I mean, then you can. I mean, chlorine's an option. It's just kind of crazy because it's hard to know how much you're really dosing, or you know what the levels really are, kind of any of that stuff, and exactly and then you'll just need to like try to remove the UV or the chlorine on the other end, although as long as you're not using hydrogen peroxide, it shouldn't be that bad with UV and ozone. So that could be something you could consider if you wanted to, especially now because nobody's floating in there. You don't really have to worry about air quality and you know all the kind of like disinfection byproducts from chlorine.
So there you go. Hopefully that's helpful.
Nice.
And thanks to everybody who joined in. This is a fun episode. So I knew it would be, because we're here. No, because we had Greg Griffin, is what I was going to say.
So we'll be back on Thursday with the Jesse Meister.
And
it'll be at noon Pacific time.
And
my name's Grashkahmn.
There we go!
All right.
That's what I was looking for. All right.
Everyone.
Bye, everyone.